afternoon, my dear students. I am your economics teacher for grade 11, again here with the new topic of your chapter number 4. So we're going to start today with few topics of this chapter. So let's begin for today. As you know, we are suffering with COVID-19 pandemic in the whole world, but our school, Cambridge International School, the SUA, has taken e-learning initiative to help our students for flourishing their future, and we want our students to reach to the highest position in the society. So, with this initiative of e-learning, I'm here to teach you economics. So let's begin for today. So yes. So your chapter number is 4 and the name of the chapter is Elasticity of Demand. As we are done with the demand, law of demand and all the things, now we are going to start with the new chapter, elasticity. You people might have listened about the word elastic. So you might have seen the elastic that we usually wear in our dresses. So the lower part of your dresses is always contain that elastic which we used to wear freely with the help of elastic. So what is elastic? So here in economics, elastic is related to change. So what happens if there is a change in the price and what happens in the demand? So we'll be finding out that with the elasticity of demand. So your subject is economics and the topic for today is price elasticity of demand. We're going to do that only. So then as grade is grade 11 and my name is Miss Sarita Sani. So I'm here to tell you about this um, more about this topic. So let's begin with this. So before beginning, I was giving you some tips related to attempting your paper. So let's begin with that new tip. So when you are attempting your numerical part, so because as we are beginning with this chapter with the numerical part, so you need to always write the formula related to that particular numerical. So this is the most important thing while you are attempting your numerical questions. And numericals, you need to solve it with all the proper units if it is there. So if it is unit free, then there is no need to write any unit. But yes, you need to like you need to keep all the things in your mind while you're solving your numerical. So like if something price is always given in the rupees. So it is always given in rupaya, but when we have to solve the sum, we have to write it as rupaya only. Then quantity demanded is always mentioned in units. So you need to mention it in the units. And the answer when we are going to find out, that is into the that is going to be unit free when we are talking about elasticity of demand. So let's begin with today's topic and understand what is elasticity of demand. So topics which we're going to cover today, as the first part is the introduction. So I have to introduce you what is elasticity of demand, then concept of elasticity of demand, then is price elasticity of demand, then percentage method for measuring price elasticity of demand, then questions to be done for today. So the topics related to all these topics, we are going to do questions in the end. So I'll be giving you 5 questions for today. So let's begin with the next part. So the first introduction about elasticity of demand. So I've just written few main points so that you will keep in all the things in your mind. Yes. So the law of demand gives us the direction of change. So we were talking about it is downward sloping, it is upward sloping. So it was downward sloping. So it was giving us direction only. So if the price is increasing, obviously demand will be decreasing. So if the price is decreasing, then obviously demand is rising. So this is how we were getting the direction of change in the quantity demanded as a result in price in the law of demand, but it does not specify the magnitude. So we were not getting the how much rate of change will be there when there is a change in the price or the quantity. So next, amount, magnitude, amount, or the extent by which the quantity demanded changes with change in its price. So we were not able to find out the value for change. So in brief, it does not indicate how much change. So yes, we were not able to find out in the numerical portion, so how much change occurred because of change in price of, let's suppose, 2 rupiah. So how much change occurred because of change in price to the quantity demanded. So it will be all these things we are able to solve with the elasticity of demand. So we'll be doing this. Next thing is how much change in the demanded, in the quantity demanded due to change in price. So therefore, the concept of elasticity of demand was developed to measure the magnitude of change in the quantity demanded. So at what rate the change occurs when there is a change in price, and how much it is going to affect the quantity demanded, that will be all done with the help of elasticity of demand. So this concept of elasticity of demand was given by Professor Marshall in his book Principles of Economics. So he is a well-known economist, and he has given the concept of elasticity, and he has mentioned some more concepts related to this elasticity of demand uh, in the Principles of Economics, that is his book. So he's mentioned more about this. Then nowadays, this concept has great importance in economic theory as well as applied economics. So if we are into the economic theory, we are learning about economic theory. So nowadays, this elasticity concept is very, very important. So let's move on to the now main point of your chapter, that is concept of elasticity of demand. So elasticity of demand refers to the percentage change. So how much percentage change in demand for a commodity with respect to the change in any of the factors affecting demand for the commodity. So elasticity of demand can be calculated. So we are finding out all with the factors. So elasticity is change that is occurring because of any factor, and the change occurs in the demand. So this is how we are calculating. The formula is given here. Elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in demand for X, that X commodity, and percentage change in factor affecting demand for X commodity. So suppose many factors are there. So we are using any of the factors, so with which how much of the demand is changing. So many factors, determinants we have discussed in the law of demand. So all those factors, maybe the price of related goods, maybe the price of we can say the trend has changed. So all these things we are mentioning here. The population has changed, so because of that there will be effect of change in the demand. So this is how we are talking about concept of elasticity of demand. Now let's move to the next topic, dimensions of elasticity of demand. When we talk about the dimensions, so the most important thing comes in my mind is determinants of demand. So there are only three factors which we are talking about. Quantifiable means measurable, so whose quantity is useful for determinants of demand. The first thing is the price of the given commodity. So if we are supposing the commodity is tea or the sugar, so we can assume that as the price of the given commodity. So that was the commodity which we are talking about. Then there is the price of related goods, then income of the consumer. So all three factors are basically making sense when I was talking about the last formula. So three factors which are affecting the demand, these are the three factors. So these are the factors which are affecting the demand. Next is three dimensions of elasticity of demand. So we have three dimensions of elasticity of demand, but we have to do only price elasticity of demand. Second is cross elasticity of demand, then is income elasticity of demand. So in our syllabus till grade 11 we have only price elasticity of demand. I've given you this because you're going to read about all these types of dimensions of elasticity of demand in the future in your graduation years, or maybe in the post graduation years. So these are the things are important, but we are going to cover only price elasticity of demand. So let's begin with the price elasticity of demand. So what is price elasticity of demand? Let me begin with this. Price elasticity of demand means the degree of responsiveness. Now what is responsiveness? Like suppose I just took one rubber band and I stretched it out. So when I stretched little, so it was little bit like it became broad. So it is stretched little bit. So when I stretched it more, so it was stretched more. So what is that? That is the response which I'm getting when I am applying some force on the rubber band. So the degree of that stretch, that response of demand for a commodity with the reference to change in the price of such commodity. So here is your price is like a rubber band, and the price, if it is increasing, so it will be just stretching the demand. So demand, if the price is less, then the demand will be more. When the price is more, then obviously demand is less. So this is how your price elasticity of demand will be. So responsiveness is how we are giving the response. Next thing is, for example, if price of demand is -2. Now here we always ignore the signs. So it is mentioned here -2. It means that 1% fall in price leads to 2% rise in demand, or 1% rise in price leads to 2% fall in demand. So that is what we are talking about. Next thing is some important points about price elasticity of demand. The first thing is it establishes quantitative relationship. Quantitative means in the quantity, in the numerical values. So between quantity demanded of a commodity and its price, while other factors remain constant. Again, ceteris paribus. So other factors we suppose are constant, but only the change occurs in the quantity demanded and the price. So we are just judging the uh, change in quantity demanded because of change in price. Higher the numerical value of elasticity, larger is the effect of price change on the quantity demanded. So if we're getting more value of elasticity, ED is equal to suppose 5. So we are just supposing there will be a larger effect of price change on the quantity demanded. So this is what we are getting. Next is, for certain goods, a change in price leads to greater change in demand, whereas some cases, there is small change in demand due to change in price. For example, if prices of two commodities X and Y rise by 10%, so their demand fall by 20% and 5%. So respectively, then commodity X is said to be more elastic because 20% change was there, and compared to commodity Y because there was only 5% change. So you understand well with this, I guess. So then as the price is the most important determinant of demand. Whenever we are talking about demand, so price is most important thing. So whenever we are going to the shop, we are always asking about the price. Fine. So we also bargain because of price only. So price elasticity of demand is sometimes shortened as elasticity of demand, demand of elasticity, or simply elasticity. So we can use it as price elasticity can be used as elasticity of demand or demand elasticity, or we can call it simply as elasticity. Unless otherwise stated, whenever these words are used, they mean price elasticity of demand. So what are the other words? Other words are elasticity of demand, demand elasticity, or elasticity. Simply all these points, all these names are given to price elasticity of demand. We can say the nicknames for price elasticity of demand. Now let's move to the next, that is percentage method for measuring price elasticity of demand. So this is the most important method whenever we are talking about this, and the simplest one, very easy one, not difficult one. So it is the most common method of measuring price elasticity of demand. This method was introduced by Professor Marshall, as he has given the concept of this elasticity, so he has given this method also. So this method is also known as flux method. What we call it as flux method, or we call it also as proportionate method or mathematical method. So how we are calculating the elasticity of demand with mathematical tools. So we are using this as the other names for this method is flux method, proportionate method, mathematical method. So according to this method, elasticity is measured as ratio of percentage. Ratio is rate of percentage change in quantity demanded to percentage change in the price. So price and the percentage change in the quantity demanded as to the percentage change in price. So that with that ratio we are able to find out the elasticity. So now the formula for this. So next we are doing that is the formula of percentage method. So when we are talking about percentage method, that is again price elasticity, which we are calculating here with the formula. So elasticity of demand, we are representing it with short like name, that is ED, elasticity of demand, ED. So is equal to percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. So this is the formula. So percentage change in quantity demanded, we are always representing it with the triangle Q. So I'll just tell you in detail then afterwards when we are talking about the next words for this. So this is the formula, basic formula. This you have to keep it in your mind. So we can find out percentage with this formula. So where first thing, percentage change in quantity demanded. Again, we have formula for this and we are calculating that, and then we are using it for the further calculation. Change in quantity is always represented with triangle Q. So that is change in quantity into 100, that we are representing it into the percentage. So then we have to convert it into the simply percentage. Initial quantity means the first quantity that was asked, original quantity we can say. Find the origin point. So how much quantity was asked. Then is change in quantity. So change in quantity is Q1 minus Q. New quantity minus old quantity or the original quantity. Fine. So percentage change in price is again change in price, that is triangle P, and original price is P into 100. Again we have to convert it into the percentage. Then change in price is equal to P1 minus P. So that was the formula for calculating percentage method. Now let's move to the further. So we have the proportionate method next. So what is in the proportionate method? Proportionate method can also be converted into the percentage method is also can be converted into the proportionate method. So putting the values of 1, 2, 3 and 4, which I have given in the previous slide. So if we are putting the values for all, so ED is equal to triangle Q. So this is what I was talking about. Change in quantity. So over original quantity into 100. Fine. And over change in P, that is change in price. So delta, we call it this triangle as delta. So delta P over P. So delta is always representing change in 200. So next, the further formula, change in Q over change in Q over change in P over P. Fine. So the last formula derived from this is change in Q, ED is equal to change in Q over change in P into P over Q. So that is the formula which we have to apply. This is the most important formula when we have to find out the value with proportionate method. Now, initial quantity demanded, that is your original quantity demanded at the first level. So starting level. So that is the Q, and change in Q, triangle Q is change in the quantity demanded. Then P1 is the new price, Q1 is the new quantity demanded, P is the initial price, and change in price, that is triangle P. So this is what they have mentioned. Now let's move to numerical portion. Yes. So here is the question. Calculate price elasticity of demand if demand increases from units 5 due to fall in price from rupaya 10 to rupaya 8. Now we have to find out elasticity of demand with this. So calculate price elasticity of demand. So formula is percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. So percentage change in quantity demanded will be calculated with the previous formula which we have done in the first point. Change in quantity, that is delta Q. Initial quantity is Q. So we can see the change in quantity. The original unit was 4. Now the new units were 5. So that is Q1 is 5 units and Q is 4 units. So Q1 minus Q is 5 minus 4 and the original quantity is 4 into 100, so it will be equal to 25%. So this is now the percentage for quantity demanded, that comes as a numerator. Then is percentage change in price, again like similarly we are done. So the price, original price was, initial price was, that is P1 is P is 10 and now the new is P1 is 8. So how we are calculating? P1 minus P, so that is change, that is delta P, change in P. So that is 8 minus 10 and 10 over 10, that is the original initial price, into 100. Now it is equal to minus 20%. So ED is equal to 25% over 20. So it will be equal to 1 minus 1.25. Now here we can just take the value which is absolute. We are ignoring the sign here. So what is the reason for ignoring the sign? That is given in the note. So let's discuss about this. Uh, Now, let me explain you this. The coefficient negative sign may be ignored. Why? The reason is here. The coefficient of price elasticity of demand is always a negative number. So ignoring exceptions to the law of demand because of inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, so we always ignore because of law of demand. So negative sign is always implied. Fine. So however, minus sign is often ignored while writing the value of elasticity. So it is more common to say elasticity is 1.25 than to say that it is minus 1.25. So negative sign can be ignored and positive number can be easily taken. So this is how we are using this formula to calculate your elasticity of demand. Now let's move to the proportionate method. So how we are going to calculate with proportionate method? Again the similar method, but we are just finding out with the same thing. So when price rises from rupaya 8 to 10, the demand falls from 5 units to 4. Uh, Now again almost a similar question. So find elasticity of demand. So elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. So how we are calculating? Now the values will be little bit shuffled. So percentage change in quantity demanded is again change in Q over initial Q quantity, that is Q into 100. So what was the initial quantity? That is initial quantity is 4, is 5, and now initial quantity was 4 units. Now the new quantity is 5 units. So how we are calculating? P, this is Q1 minus Q. So 4 minus 5 over 5. 5 was the initial quantity. So into 100, that is minus 20%. That will be your answer. Then percentage change in price. So change in price over initial price into 100, that will be 10 minus 8 over 100, 8 over 10 minus 8 over 8 into 100, that is equal to 25%. So minus 20% over 25%, it will be minus 0.8. So what will be the value we are taking it to into? 0.8. So we have to ignore the, now we have to ignore the this negative sign. So with these two examples, we are able to get to the conclusion with few points. So let me discuss with the points. So what will be the point with this? So next point is important observations about the example 1 and example 2 which we have solved. So always consider the absolute value. So we have to ignore always the negative value. Fine. So we have to always take the value of absolute units. So this is what we have to talk about. Then is elasticity is affected by percentage change. So elasticity is always affected by percentage change. Price elasticity of demand is not affected by absolute change in demand or price. Rather, its value is influenced by a percentage change in price or demand. So you have just checked uh, in the first question, change in quantity demanded is just one unit and the change in price is 2 is same. So however, price elasticity for the first example is minus 1.25 is different. So in the second example, minus 0.8, it happens because of first example, demand changes by 25%, price changes by 20%. Now in the second example, demand changes by 20% and the price changed by 25%. So this is what happened. So elasticity is always unit free measure. So why it is unit free measure? This you have to listen and learn. So coefficient of price elasticity of demand is a pure number. So it is a pure number and it is independent of price and quantity units. So that is why it is unit free. It means elasticity is not affected whether the quantity demanded is measured in kilograms or tons and whether price is measured in rupees or dollars. So it will not be affected by this. So that is why the reason is it is unit free. Then it happens because elasticity considers percentage change in price and quantity demanded. So we can easily compare prices sensitivity inexpensive goods like needle that of expensive goods like gold. So this is all about the topic which we have to cover today. So let's go to the next slide. We have questions which you have to do for today. The first question is, name the economist who had given the concept of elasticity. So I guess you people remember that is the name of the one economist I have mentioned in the whole topic, that was Professor Marshall. So define elasticity of demand with its formula. So that is the basic formula which I've given you in the first slide when I talked about this elasticity of demand. Then define price elasticity of demand with example. Find that you have to give. Then what are the important points about price elasticity of demand, that also we have done. So explain percentage method in detail with example, then proportionate method. So both are similar but you have to solve it in a different way. Fine. So this is all about for today. So in the end I would say thank you. God bless you. Enjoy learning at home. And yes, we have to fight this COVID-19 pandemic and stay home, happy, healthy, and take care of our immunity. So we have to take care of ourselves with good diet, good exercise routine. So this is what for today. This is what we have to do for today. So thank you. God bless you. Take care and pray for humanity so that this COVID-19 ends soon. God bless you. Thank you. See you soon.